Jack and the Giant. Lucy was right about my clothes. They were stupid. Even Ruka Marshall looked like a sixth grader, and she wore a cloth on her head. Big Ma would probably sew my dress. She'd sew a dress that went way past my knees with ruffles and bows like a kindergartner's party dress. No one would ask me to the sixth grade dance. No one wanted to dance with a girl whose arms and legs were longer than theirs. No one wanted to dance with the tallest girl in the sixth grade. The tallest girl in the sixth grade wearing a ruffled party dress with bows. There was only one boy in my class who was as tall as I was. Only one. I'd rather sit by the record player and watch everyone else dance before I danced with Ellis Carter. I'd rather stay at home and scrub the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink, the tub, the toilet before I danced with Ellis Carter. The way Ellis glanced at me, then turned away, I knew the feeling was mutual. I pushed back my sweater sleeve, glad to have a ticking second hand I could rely on. Good old Timex. 8 seconds, the warning bell. Just another 5 minutes until dismissal. The only boy who would ask me to the dance was on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge, riding down a hill on his go-kart. I wasn't like Vonetta and Fern. I wouldn't go dreaming about Hirohito Woods getting on a plane in his Sunday pants, knocking on my door in time for sixth grade dance. I couldn't go dreaming about a big white flower he'd put on my wrist and him telling my father he'd bring me home by 9 o'clock. I couldn't go imagining that he was a really smooth dancer and we'd look good together and he'd get me punch and sit on the sidelines with me when Principal Myers played lame songs on the record player. I wouldn't go imagining how my friends would all want to dance with him, starting with Lucy Raleigh, but he'd say he'd only dance with me. Hirohito Woods was like a make-believe boy, and not a real boy I knew. He wasn't even my pen pal. You couldn't be a pen pal if you didn't write letters to each other, and you couldn't write letters if you didn't know where to send them. I closed my eyes and remembered that he and his mother lived on Magnolia Street near Mean Lady Ming's Chinese Takeout, the fourth house on the block. I sat on the steps in his yard reading my book. He chased Vonetta and Fern around his yard. There were plants like green rubber roses in clay pots, but they weren't rubber. They were real and filled with water if you pinched their petals. I saw everything about Hirohito Woods' house in my mind except the house number. But I knew his name, that he lived in Oakland on Magnolia Street. Maybe that was enough for the telephone operator to help me call him person to person from a phone booth. I didn't dare call the operator on our telephone in the kitchen. If Big Ma wouldn't let girls from Uncle Darnell's high school come calling, she wouldn't hardly let me use the telephone to call a boy long distance. All I needed was about $1.50 in change to talk to Hirohito. I found 30 cents. I needed to borrow $1.20 in nickels, dimes, and quarters, no pennies. Most of the money in the Jackson 5 Madison Square Garden concert jar was mine, and now I needed to shake some of it out. I went inside Vonetta and Fern's room while they did homework. The mommy jar was right on Vonetta's desk. I need to borrow money, I told her. $1.20. Vonetta lifted her head. We can't spend that money, she said. Not a penny. Not a nickel, Fern said. That money is for, and before I knew it, they were singing the Jackson's 5, the Love You Save. But they changed the words, so it was all about saving money for Madison Square Garden. I wasn't happy my sisters had made up songs I knew nothing of, but I wasn't about to poke out my bottom lip and pout. I need that money for stamps to write Cecile. And to write Hirohito, Vonetta said, your lover man. Your dream boat, Fern said. Dear Hirohito, I miss you more than I miss mosquitoes. They congratulated each other on their rhyming. At first I meant to stretch the truth, but then I out and out lied to my sisters. I'm writing to Cecile. I need airmail stamps to send love letters to your kissy dreamer lover man. I hated that they were right, that I wanted the money for Hirohito. I hate that they were making kissing noises that smacked the insides of my ears. I put more money in that jar than the two of you. If you want me to put my birthday money in there, you better shake out some of that money right now. I called on Cecile for some of her meanness and groaned. I need to sound good and groan. Vonetta took the jar and hugged it to her chest. Fern ran over and hugged herself around Vonetta and the jar. That money is for Jermaine and Marlon. And Michael. Then they started singing their own money-saving song, and Fern made up the part about how they had to save money for me. I could have wrestled the jar from them and nothing flat. I felt my face burning and my throat choking. I wanted to cry, but I didn't want them to see me or know that they could make me cry. Maybe I didn't have what Cecile had. I turned to go to my room and heard Vonetta say, "We killed the giant like in Jack and the Beanstalk." Then Bird said, "And we have the golden goose." And they shook the mummy jar with all of my money in it and sang, "The giant is dead, the giant is dead, the giant is dead."